Let's begin our meeting by thanking everyone, first of all, for coming out this evening. And let's start off right with our students by recognizing our May Students of the Month.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming tonight. We've got some exciting things going on, not only Students of the Month, we've got the representatives from the library here for the 1,000 Book Project, and certainly a couple of other people are here for another lovely event where we are going to be voting on tenure for a few teachers and a teaching assistant tonight. So exciting night for us tonight. I just want to point out one thing also. We sent out a message to everyone yesterday. We began a new service project, I should say, with our event. And last night were some little snafus with sound, but nothing major as far as the snafus. So quality will improve with time. But we're now streaming many events, as many as we possibly can. For example, last night, our high school band and chorus concert on our YouTube page. And we sent that link out through our alert system. And during the event, we had 18 people, I think. 13 watching at the time, plus as Mike was working on the streaming, was chatting with some of those people, which was kind of a cool experience. By the time Mike and I looked at it again this morning, there were 121 views of the video. So that means that the students went back and watched themselves also, or anybody else that wanted to see it. So we're really excited about breaking out this new approach to allowing our public into our schools from a different perspective. So thank you, Mike and the team, that put that together, and certainly we want to invite the public to watch those experiences as we go through the spring. So we're glad you participated. So getting to Students of the Month, let's start with the middle school.
All right. Well, Damian Stanmeyer, Assistant Principal at the middle school. It's an honor to be here tonight. A true pleasure to introduce our student who, when I think over our students at the middle school, one of the first names that pops into my head is this student, based on just how friendly and polite and kind, and just always has an awesome greeting for you and makes coming to work and doing your job a pleasure. So at this time, I will introduce Fran Lipsey, who will introduce and speak about Matthew Castellani.
National Physical Fitness Month, and it's also the Sports Month, which raises awareness for the importance of being active. Oh, there we go. Thank you. This is such an appropriate time to present the Student of the Month Award for Physical Education. It is with great honor and such a privilege and an honor to be here tonight to introduce a fine young man who is Matthew Castellani. So come on up here. Here we go. Can everybody see Matthew right here? There we go. I'll say, with that being said, good evening, Mr. Brooks, Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Bakachis, Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Bell. I don't see Mr. Bell. Is he here? Okay. President of the Board of Ed, and all the board members, Mrs. Clinton, Principal of the Marble Middle School, and Mr. Stanmeyer. We have Mr. Witherell, Mrs. Hecht, and Mrs. Mealy. Thank you for being here tonight. So we're also addressing teachers and students, parents, and friends. Thank you all for being here tonight on such a special occasion. So tonight we come together and celebrate the efforts of everyone as we all continue to work together towards the pursuit of excellence in everything that we do. Thanks. I would like to thank two very special people for creating this PowerPoint and putting it all together for me tonight on such short notice. So Mrs. Kathy Keene, who is back there, and Mr. Thank you so much. She's an English teacher in the middle school, sixth grade teacher, and also Mr. John Morallo, who is the tech guy at in all the schools. So Mr. Morallo, thank you back there. Again, all hands coming together just for the pursuit of excellence in our schools. A little bit about Matthew. As you notice right now, he's got a number 1 here. He's a big lacrosse player, by the way, and that is his number. He plays for the Huskies in Highland. And today he tells me that he has been chosen for an all-star team in Pine Bush. Is that correct, Matthew? Yes. And he's also got a lacrosse tie on, which is very cute. And also today he wore a nice, beautiful pair of shorts, lacrosse shorts, right? Okay, so he also had gym class today, so. But he entered Marlboro Middle School with high expectations, a purpose in life, and many, many goals. And like I said, he does love lacrosse, and the first day that we told him that we were going to do the unit, he was the first one to bring his lacrosse stick in, and he was also the first one to say, Mrs. Lipsey, I can come help you. I have this period free, that period free. I said, come on in, as long as your teacher says it's okay. Come on in. And he taught the kids, and he taught me a thing or two besides, so I'll let him teach. So it was good. He was a leader. He's funny, he's witty, he's energetic, and I so enjoy having Matthew in class. Matthew has a great attitude and demonstrates outstanding sportsmanship in his classes. He is an athlete, and he models such great behavior. So being Matthew's physical education teacher, I get to see Matthew live out the 6 pillars of character education in our physical education class. 1 is respect, 2 is trustworthiness, 3 is fairness, 4 is caring, 5 is responsibility, and 6, citizenship. So during Matthew's PE class, I have witnessed and experienced Matthew with a heart for people. And what I mean by that is, I know there's a medical student in our class, and he's on crutches. And Matthew's the first one all the time to make sure he's comfortable. If he drops his crutches on the floor because he's sitting on the stage out of PE, Matthew runs over to get the crutches, helps him back up again. And that's the kind of heart that he has for all people. He's like a first responder, I guess you could say. We just started a lacrosse unit in class, and Matthew was so excited about the class. Like I said, that he brought his stick in, and since he brought his stick in, everybody else on his team brought their sticks in too. So, right, Matthew? So we had them all in my office. But anyway, so today, I've also experienced Matthew in the hallways. Like if there's students passing through and somebody drops their books, who do I see on the floor picking up their papers and books and helping them up? Is Matthew. So he just loves helping people, he really does. So I have had the pleasure of asking all his teachers to write a little sentence about Matthew. So I'm excited about reading these. Okay, so here is one teacher. Matthew's compassion for others brings out the fine young man he is. He comes to class every day with a smile and always goes the extra mile to participate in class, and he listens. He is a role model for his peers and is a pleasure to be around. Here's another. Matthew is the ideal student. He works hard, is responsible, and always willing to learn. Matthew participates in class and sets a good example for his classmates. Academics aside, he's a joy to be around. Okay. Matthew is a very good student in class. He is very involved and participates enthusiastically, adding to the quality of the entire group. He is responsible and always is willing to help with any task that the class is working on. He is a pleasure to teach and a joy to be around. Matthew Castellani is a pleasure to teach. He is enthusiastic, caring, and responsible. He always completes the assignments and is eager to learn every day. He asks a lot of questions to help deepen understanding as well as the understanding of his classmates. More importantly, his academics is his personality. There is not a mean bone in his body. He's always looking to help someone out in any way he can. Matthew is an exemplary student. He is eager to learn new topics, and he is persistent in his efforts to master new skills. He consistently demonstrates a positive attitude. Matthew is respectful, and his teachers are very helpful, says that he's helpful with his peers. And this person feels very lucky to have Matthew work with the opportunity to work with him all year. Okay, Matthew always comes to library skills with a smile and is ready to work. I bet you can't guess who that is. He likes to help others when he can and always has a riddle or joke to tell. Do you? Awesome. He always has a positive attitude which radiates out to others. I enjoy having him in my class. Okay. I think that's it. So in the gym, in the classroom, and in the hallway, wherever Matthew goes. He brings a positive attitude, a ray of sunshine, and always a big smile. So with that, congratulations, Matthew. Thank you. And I know his mom and dad are in the audience as well. Thank you for being here. Congratulations, Matthew.
Next, we'll move to the elementary school.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. It is my pleasure to introduce Marlboro Elementary School Student of the Month for May, Jameson Birkenstock. He's here with his family, including his sister Callista, and I would like to introduce at this time his nominating teacher, Mrs. Denise Palumbo. Come on up, Jameson.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Denise Palumbo, and I teach physical education at Marlboro Elementary School, along with Rory Becker and Jennifer Young. The phys ed department as a whole, as a team, has chosen Jameson as our Student of the Month. This is quite the big deal because he was picked, we can pick out of all the elementary students, K-5, so he was picked out of everyone. Jameson is by far one of the best athletes in his class, but what really makes him stand out is his behavior each day. He is a role model for his peers and is always doing the right thing, constantly, always. I can always count on him. He participates with 100% effort during all of our activities, whatever they may be. He always has good sportsmanship and always does his best. It has been a pleasure. I've had him this year. Miss Young had him in the past, but I've had him this year, and it's been a real pleasure. And I know he will go on to do great things. So congratulations. We forgot our PowerPoint. Yeah. All right.
And finally, the high school. There he is, Mr. Cortellano. Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, members of the board, as always, it's an honor and a pleasure to talk about and introduce our Student of the Month. And with that, I'd like to bring up Ms. Monteverdi, the illustrious leader of our math department, who will introduce Lily and talk about her, our Student of the Month for May.
Thank you, Mr. Portolano.
Yes, Ms. Monteverdi.
I want to thank the members of the board, the administrators, members of the community, and family and friends for giving me the opportunity to introduce to you a truly remarkable young lady. Each month, as you all know, during the school year, one of the departments at the high school has the pleasant job of picking, come on up by me, I'm not going to bite you, of picking the Student of the Month. And needless to say, with all the truly talented students that we have to pick from in this district, narrowing the choice down to one is never easy, and never without a lot of very spirited discussion. I have the privilege tonight to present to you not just the choice of the high school math department, but my own personal choice for Student of the Month. I guess I won the discussion. Sorry, I messed up the hair. Lily is a 9th grader in my Geometry Common Core honors class. She has currently a 99 average in my course. For the last 2 quarters, I've given her 100, and I don't do that very easily. I decided yesterday, because I knew I was coming here to introduce her to you, I decided to check out her grades from 3rd quarter. And I was amazed. In fact, I don't even feel worthy to stand up here next to her. She earned hundreds in 5 of her 8 courses. She has not one study hall, and her only free period during the day is lunch. She's a member of both band and chorus, and she is on the track team. And I actually talked to your coach today, and he said you're as wonderful there as you are in the classroom. What was I doing? Oh, I lost my spot. This student is so exceptional academically, but she is hardworking, agreeable, open to discussion, and is, whether it's in the classroom, in the auditorium, or on the field. The part that I truly admire is she never complains. I could say to Lily, you know, I need you to do these 15 proofs by tomorrow for class, and she would just look at me, do that, little smile, and she'd put it in her folder, and the next day they would all be done perfectly. She never boasts, so when I hand her back a test with another 100 on it, I think I wrote on it today, aren't you tired of getting these? You know, it's not like she flashes it around to anybody. She just tucks it into the folder and sits there with her own little smile. She's very kind. She's very considerate of her other classmates. She really deserves the recognition not just of those of us at the high school, but she deserves the recognition of the entire community. And it is truly my honor to introduce to you our candidate for Student of the Month, Lily Wiles.
You know, it's such a wonderful night when we have Students of the Month, and each month builds on the previous month. So I just want to recap a little bit so that we can go home with an additional sense of pride of the children that are here in front of us, and certainly some of the staff. This is a wonderful example set. I appreciate you coming out tonight, but Marlboro Dukes are represented here so well. They're compassionate, they're respectful, you can always count on them. They're remarkable people, they're exceptional students, and they're also humble. These are words about your children, and thank you. I mean, you're great kids. I see you around the hallways. I like saying hi to you, so say hi to me tomorrow too. I appreciate that, but thanks for being you, folks. I really appreciate it. And families, thank you for supporting them, and thank you for lending them to us each and every day. So, kids, thank you. Well done.
We'd like to congratulate the students once again and thank each of them for their hard work in leading our schools by example. And at this time, we'd like to take a 2-minute recess. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I guess we are moving on to number 4 of the agenda, which is the 1,000 book Project Award. And we would like to invite Mrs. Celeste Cardone to come forward to present this award.
On behalf of the Marlborough Faculty Association, I would like to thank the Board of Education and Mr. Brooks and the administrators for allowing us to give this award here. It's always such a thrill when we get to do that. The 1,000-book program is sponsored by the Marlborough Faculty Association, and it is available at the the Marlborough Free Library and the Milton Library. And this month, we are indeed honoring a very worthy family, the Robert and Amanda Kunkel family, our honorees, and I'd like to have them come on up to accept the award. Now, a little bit about them. They may seem a little old to be getting an award for a program that generally serves preschool families. However, this family is unique in that not only have they had the books read to them, but when they were younger, but they persisted in going to the library and getting the book packs even after they entered the elementary school. So much so that they've now read many of the packs on their own. Their parents report that they are now avid readers and they have a very diverse interest in all kinds of literature. Sometimes Dad finds them reading under the blankets with their flashlights, but that's a problem we'd all like to have. They attended a recent book signing for James Patterson's latest works, and I know he's a local boy and he has a lot of adult novels, but he also has a lot of children's novels, and from what I understand, you guys are getting interested in his children's novels. They're active in Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts, and they attend CCD classes, and Mom reports that while on the way, they often stop at the library to pick up their new packs. Mom and Dad couldn't be prouder, and it's with good reason. When I asked them about how they felt being a part of the 1,000-book project influenced their children's reading and their life, they both could not have been more appreciative of the program and the positive effect that being exposed to reading consistently at a young age had on shaping their children into avid readers. They're also very proud of the diligence, as I am, and the persistence that kept them reading, and they were sure that the program was instrumental in forming them into the good students and role models that you guys have become. The program continues to evolve and to support the community. We've refurbished the packs, and now they're barcoded for ease of lending and returning. But it's only because of families such as the Kunkels that the MFA can continue to serve our community and its family. So, with that, I'd like to have you guys accept this certificate in reading achievement for you and your family. And you each get a t-shirt that says that you've read 1,000 books. So there's one for you. One of probably the best literature books that we can offer to children who are moving into young adult and juvenile fiction reading is The Little Prince. So we've given you a copy of that. And they're also, so you can get your own books, we've given you a little gift certificate to Barnes & Noble. So congratulations. Congratulations.
On behalf of the board, I would like to extend our congratulations to the Kunkel family. I mean, 1,000 books, it's amazing. And I love to read, but 1,000 books just really wows me, so great job. At this time, we will now, I guess, give everybody a 2-minute recess to get your kids home. You're all more than welcome to stay. We have an exciting night before us, so please don't feel rushed, but if you need to get your kids home, we'll take a 2-minute recess so you can do so. Hi, congratulations.
That's okay.
Hi. Hi, how are you? Congratulations. Hey, listen,
Congratulations.
some influence, I would imagine. Some influence, I
welcome.
would imagine. Yes.
Yeah. We don't, I mean, that's one of those weird ones, we don't do that often.
I know. I think a ladies' room for a natural
No. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yep, should be next. And then Patrick's 5-minute budget presentation for the 75th time. That we don't do anything about other than him presenting it. We're not going to discuss it, we're not going to vote on it, we're not going to do anything about it. Hey, John, how are you?
They have an easy exit. I'm trapped.
Longevity, John, longevity. Russell went voluntarily. Let Mike get back. So Joanne can go forever. You just took them, just cut them out of the other ones. Good. Nice long conversation with him last night. Your nephew. Yeah, he called me last night. I was in the office till like 6:30. He called me, so I had a long conversation. I really told him, I said, you know, you really, as you go through this whole process, you really start to get to it. You may really find when you get out there doing that, your life is financially right now, this is the place to be. There's a lot of
everyone could take their seats, we'll get back to the agenda. Moving on to number 5, public comment on agenda items. If anyone would like to make a comment on the agenda items, please approach the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name and the town and address, and your address to the Board of Education. Excuse me. Okay, moving on to number 6, the budget hearing. Would ask that Mr. Witherow provide a public presentation of the adopted budget.
Good evening. So we're going to open our official budget hearing for the 17-18 school year budget proposition. The district vote will be on Tuesday, May 16th, 6 a.m. in the morning to 9 p.m. at night, and it'll be located right in this room. So there's a change from last year and the years previous where we held it at Milton or at Marlboro Elementary School. After some discussion in terms of security and locations, it will be located in this room right here. We're just waiting on it to load for us. But we'll start talking. This year we did have a reduction in our tax levy, which will be the 3rd consecutive year in a row of the levy being reduced. And the levy is the amount of money that's actually put out to be raised through your taxes for residents within the school district. So the last 2 years, our tax cap calculation has resulted in a negative levy. And this year, we have a reduction by about $276,000 from the previous year. So the 17-18 levy at $33,948,733 is right at where our tax cap is. So we are tax cap compliant, and that does represent a 0.81% decrease in the levy from last year. And last year, we had a 0.11% decrease from the previous year. So these are estimated tax rates. It's very unlikely that these will actually be the final numbers, but this is based on the district or the municipal valuations that we had at the time the tax rates were set last year. Every year, depending on economic growth and equalization rates, there is variability in what this calculation will ultimately result in. But right now, we do project a 2.71% increase in the tax rate. So it is worth mentioning that with a $276,000 decrease in the levy, it would be logical to expect that the tax rate would also decrease because we are asking for less money from the district residents. But unfortunately, we still have the court-ordered devaluation of the Roaston power plant, which continues for another couple years. And this year, we lost about $15 million in taxable assessed value, which represents over $41 million in true value in the town of Newburgh. So because of that loss in value within the district, the pool of potential revenue is smaller. So even though we're asking for less money, everybody has to pay a little bit more to make up for the loss in value of the Roaston facility. We were in a similar situation last year, and our actual increases resulted in right around 1%, a little bit less than 1%, because we did see significant growth in Marlboro and Newburgh, and some moderate growth in Plattekill. So as we sit now, we estimate a 2.71% increase in the tax rate going into the 17-18 school year, with a $276,000 reduction in the levy. What does that mean for individual homeowners? Can everybody see? All right. So we went and looked at what a $100,000 sale price home and a $200,000 sale price home in both Marlboro, Plattekill, and the Newburgh area. So you can see we'll go on a $200,000 sale price home with a basic star exemption. Marlboro, Plattekill residents would expect to see their annual tax bill increase by about $128. And in Newburgh, that would be $122. Seniors who would most likely qualify for the enhanced star exemption will see just a bit over $100 in Marlboro and Plattekill, and $87.57 in Newburgh. And the no-star exemption, which generally would be commercial properties or second homes, we're looking at $151 in both Marlboro and Plattekill and Newburgh. And that's the annual increase in the tax bill. This is just a chart representing where we've been historically with our levies. You can see in the 12-13 school year, we had significantly risen. The Dynegy bankruptcy resulted in significant layoffs, closures of buildings, reductions of staff, and a significant decrease in the levy. We had 1 year with a little correction, and then, as we said, 3 consecutive years of reductions. As you can see, the rates themselves are sort of flattening out, which is nice to see after these 2 years of significant increases. So the 3-part budget, this is the legal requirement for the presentation of the budget. We can see the breakout between administrative, program, and capital. So overall, we see about a $445,000 increase in the administrative portion of the budget, a $1.68 million increase in program, and approximately $162,000 increase in capital. And as we've spoken numerous times previously, our capital is still a little bit high at 16%. We do have some significant debt dropping off in the next 2 or 3 years, which should allow us to both fund some projects within the district at no cost to the taxpayers and will actually probably result in a decrease in the tax liability. And we can see that capital component get down into more around the 12 to 13%, which would be in line with what neighboring districts tend to run. And one thing worth noting too, we did in this budget, Ms. Hecht, the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, her salary had at one point been partially funded through a grant, and we've been phasing her in. Last year, 75% of her full salary was in the actual budget. This year is 100%. And we did make some adjustments, as we spoke previously, with the way we allocate some of the BOE services, which has a somewhat of an impact on that breakout, but overall the numbers are pretty consistent with where they were the previous year. So the budget comparison is just a quick look at what our revenues are going to look like. We did see a significant increase in state aid this year, and also in there is the $1 million that we have allocated for the Smarter Schools Bond Act, which we also have budgeted on the expenditure side. We do expect to use reserves and fund balance, $3.75 million. And as we said previously, about 2.2 of that is kind of our buffer that we need to have for unintended expenditures that occur based on mandates, a lot of them in the areas of special education. We do have the pilot from the Dan-Scammer power plant, and miscellaneous revenues are up slightly. In miscellaneous revenues, we have a transfer from capital, about $189,000, which was just some residual funds from projects that have long since been completed. And at the recommendation of our auditor, we've brought that in as a revenue source this year. These are the new positions and programs associated with this budget. We have a reading literacy specialist for grades 7 through 12, a social worker at Marlboro Elementary School, library media specialist will be located either at the middle or elementary school, part-time math teacher, junior varsity coach. It's a conversion from an assistant coach to a JV coach to align better with all of our other sports programs. We do have a swimming program for Marlboro High School at a cost of $6,000 and planetarium visits for elementary students up to the high school. Also included in safety security would be a part-time school resource officer will be shared between the elementary and middle schools. And lastly, we have addition of a board docs program, which will help provide better visibility and document management as we prepare meetings and allow the public greater access and searchability for previous meetings and documents related to board meetings in general. With that, the one last variable we've talked about is retirements and breakage. We still continue to see additional retirements. We've already set the budget. So when we see those types of retirements, it does provide additional possibilities for money, and we've talked about some previous possible uses of that as we go forward. So we'll know better where we stand with that after the budget vote and towards the end of the year if we get any more retirements for this year. So lastly, Any questions from the board? Everybody has seen this a number of times, but just again to remind everybody, the budget vote is May 16th, right here in this building, in this room, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
In the previous presentations, you had said the healthcare had gone up. Is that through BOCES, where we get our health insurance?
We have a consortium, the Orange Ulster School District's health plan. It's made up of 20 school districts throughout Orange, Ulster, and Sullivan County. What we had talked about previously was we experience those increases for our employees, and it's all the employees who are eligible for health care within the district. But we also see that in our BOCES services purchases, because the way BOCES operates is, the cost of them running that program is allocated out to the component districts who send children to participate. So while we experience increases on our health care, we also see some corresponding increases in the BOCES rates, because their employees are also experiencing increases, and that gets spread out to all the components who purchase those services.
I'm just asking because, last thing, can we opt out of that if we wanted to? Or, and finding it like on our own, or no, you can't do that?
Yeah, we could. Right now, everything that we would look to go to would be more expensive than where we are currently.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, so I guess that will conclude our budget hearing. Thank you.
This time, I'm going to defer back to Mr. Witherow, who is also our district clerk, for item number 7, Board of Education candidates.
Thank you, Mrs. Horton. So we have 3 seats open on the Board of Education. Those 3 seats will be elected at the annual budget vote on May 16th. We have 2 incumbents who are running. That's Mr. James Kuha and Ms. Susan Horton. And Mr. Walker will not be running for re-election, but we have Mr. John Cantone, who is in the audience, is our 3rd candidate for the board. So we have 3 seats, and we have 3 people running for those seats. And at this point, we'd like to welcome them to make a statement to introduce themselves to the public. And we'll go with Mr. Cantone, Mr. Kuha, and Ms. Horton last. Mr. Cantone.
All right. Well, first I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and giving me a chance to introduce myself. Thanks for the board and the administrative staff as well. I've decided late in the process that I was actually going to put my name in and take a petition and take some signatures. And I haven't had a lot of chance to go out and campaign, so this is a good opportunity for me to describe who I am, why I think I have the right experience to be worthy of your vote for the Board of Education trustee position that's open, and hopefully be here to represent the community and all of you in a few months. So what I'd like to do tonight is just give you a brief introduction, who I am personally, some of my work experience, some of my volunteer experience, all of which I would try to apply to what the job is going to be, and tell you a little bit about why I want to do this, because many people, as I was getting signatures, were asking me, why are you want to do this? Are you crazy? A couple of people even said that, but I do have a vested interest in this district. I live here, have been here for about 14 years. My children are in school, 6th grade and 4th grade, and as I said, I believe I have a lot of experience that actually would be a good match for the board, and I've actually been very active in, at least in the last 5 years, either coming to the meetings, speaking my opinion, giving my criticism, giving my ideas, and other things. So I think I thought maybe now it's time to stop talking from this side of the podium and go up to get a seat at the table and have a vote. So I've been pretty much in this area my whole life. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, 1961, by 2 parents who were born and raised in Brooklyn, and we moved up here in 1968, the town of Newburgh, as my father got a job in the Poughkeepsie area, but he decided to live in Newburgh because both my parents actually spent summers as children up in this area.
I went to Catholic school primarily, elementary school and 2 years of my high school, Sacred Heart School in Newburgh, and then eventually Mount St. Mary's High School for 2 years, and did graduate from Newburgh Free Academy. What's interesting about that whole little era is this is when I first really started getting a feeling or tried to get an understanding, although I didn't understand at the time, of how different school districts are and why they're different. And what I mean by that is I wanted to go to public school. My whole neighborhood went to public school. I was one of the few kids with a tie and a uniform at the bus, and I wanted to take advantage of all the things that public schools had. But at the time, public schools were kind of on the downhill in terms of dumbing down the curriculum, and there was a lot of violence and trouble in the high school, especially Newburgh and other inner cities. So the answer was no, you're not going to Catholic school. But I did used to hear this from my parents. Well, if we lived in Marlborough or Valley Central or Cornwall, I would let you go to public school, but we're not going to Newburgh because it's nuts. And when I finally did get to Newburgh, because I won the battle eventually, I really understood what they were talking about, right? I'm talking about the 70s when race riots were every year, and one of my most distinct memories of Newburgh was the SWAT team on the roof in my senior year after riots had calmed down, and then everybody was coming back to school, and there was pictures in the newspaper. So I know from an early time that Marlborough was one of the better school districts in the area, and that definitely influenced me as I got older and decided to actually be in this district. So I Newburgh boy, I went to Orange County Community College. I graduated with an associate in electrical engineering technology. I got hired right out of school from IBM. They recruited me there. I got my bachelor's in Mount St. Mary's College in computer science, going at night. And I've been working at IBM for 35 years, which is hard to say for many people today. I did wind up living in Newburgh for a while, but after I got married to my wife Karen, we wound up looking for a piece of land to buy and to build a house, and I talked her into coming to Marlborough. As again, my choices were Marlborough, Cornwall, and Valley Central, and I chose Marlborough. I did it because of the school district. I knew then, and I still believe it now, that I like the small community. The teachers and their attention to the children and the relationships with the parents remind me very much of Catholic school, which is the main reason my parents told me why we were going to Catholic school, is the teachers care more. You're not a number in a big school, and you're going to get a better education. And I firmly believe that that's actually happened here in Marlborough. So we never regretted that decision, even through all the turmoil and things that we had to deal with several years ago. I'm still very happy with where we are in Marlborough and couldn't be happier with the level of teaching and quality of education they've gotten so far. So my children were born while we were living here in Marlborough. First one in 2004 and the second one in 2006, which puts them in 6th and 4th grade today. My work experience. I've been working at IBM for 35 years, as I say. I've had actually 5 career changes in my 35 years at IBM. I started as a technical, in a technical career, an engineering lab technician. I actually got my first retraining 5 years later into the computer programming field, specifically an IT support programmer, working on the big mainframes that you really don't see much anymore that fill the room. I was actually working on those, not punch cards, not that far back, but that era. I wound up changing as the times changed. I wound up working on the smaller machines, the mid-range machines as times changed. But then what really was the biggest change for me was when I got in the IBM outsourcing business. And for those who are not sure what that is, that's when IBM and IT outsourcing, where we actually provide service for other companies, running their computers, running their end user support on their laptops, the big machines in the background, et cetera. And why that's important is this is where I think the last 20 years, literally, that I've been working in the various jobs in the outsourcing business has given me a very broad level of experience that I think will apply the most here in the school board. And what I specifically mean is, as what I was called a delivery project executive, I was in charge of the delivery of IT services based on the contract that we had with the client. So I was responsible for delivering service to contracted service levels that had penalties if we didn't do it. I had to adhere to the contractual obligations. I had to have client-facing responsibilities where building client relationships was a measure of success, client satisfaction. I was responsible for managing the budget that I had based on the annual contract, which in my experience ranged from $25 million to $135 million, depending on which job you're talking about. I I learned crisis management because when you do this for other corporations, you wind up in some of their crises and having to participate in that as if you're one of theirs. So for example, I was working for a financial mutual fund company during the financial crisis. I worked for the BP Corporation when they had the Gulf crisis and that oil well blew up. I worked for a credit card company also that was reeling from the financial institution. So I learned how to manage money and to adjust based on crisis, and especially when it comes to budgeting. My compensation depended on me reducing my budget every year, improving service to the client, and we would do monthly reviews. And every time I'd have to stand in front of my executive team, I would have to tell them why my budget's up or higher or lower. What are you going to do to continue to lower it and drive up profitability? And by the way, not only are you supposed to maintain service, you're going to improve it. There's no such thing as me saying, well, to cut my budget, I have to cut services. That's not such a thing in the outsourcing business. It's actually built in a contract. So it's that kind of experience that I really firmly believe that will help me as a board member. It's being able to think through budgeting, not only budgeting, but obligations, measuring service, measuring quality of service, and actually being able to demonstrate that through repeatable measurements and metrics. I also have a lot of volunteer experience that directly applies. So for example, my first introduction to the Board of Education in the school system was during the Dynegy bankruptcy, where there were several budget subcommittees that were actually formed. I was on the budget subcommittee and the communication subcommittee. And that's where we worked with the superintendent, his staff, and some other members, key members of the community, to really kind of take a look at the whole thing and figure out what we might be able to do to help the school figure out where's the places to cut or what we can do to improve revenue or things that we can help get through this crisis. We were pretty successful in helping the superintendent at the time figure out what's the best way to maybe think through this stuff. He had his own plan, and we helped him communicate that plan. I worked with the community group at the time called Marlboro Community Concerns, who were also forming a group to try to partner with the school budget, and I act as a liaison between that subcommittee, the people we were working with in the administration, and also that group, to try to just figure out together how we're really going to partner, which was a goal of that organization. So I've also been the IBM Discover Engineering Coordinator for the last 5 years. As many of you probably see me in the classroom, that's where that comes from. I coordinate those engineering visits, come in the classroom and try to give students an insight into the engineering and other STEM-related fields. I'm also a mentor in the IBM-sponsored P-Tech program down in Newburgh. I don't know if many of you are familiar with that program, but it's called Pathways in Technology for early college, high school. So basically, it's a 6-year program funded partially by the state and also by IBM and other sources. And the children in this program are going to get, in 6 years, they're going to get a high school diploma as well as an associate's degree from Orange County Community College. And IBM provides numerous resources to help, including people who are running the program, but also one-to-one mentors for each year, that the 50 children that go 50 students every year that go into that program. I'm one of those mentors. And what I like about the things I'm mentioning now is this has brought me into the classroom. I've actually gotten to see children, how they learn. I've got to work with the teachers, with the administrators, the curriculum director, several people to really understand what works, what doesn't work in the classroom, and how you can bring external people and external ideas and sources into the conversation to improve education and to improve the experience for children and to supplement the curriculum that exists without having to spend more money, without having to hire more people, and without other factors that are the more standard way of the education process. I know I'm chewing up a lot of time here, so just to round out that, I've also had various volunteer positions. I'm the Cub Master of the Marlboro and Milton Cub Scout Pack 73. I've had various coaching and management positions in baseball and basketball and anything my kids were in, I try to help. So I've had a lot of experience in volunteering. I've had a lot of education experience directly in the classroom. I've got a lot of work experience, all of which I think applies. So these are the areas that I think make me a candidate or make me qualified to be a candidate. The reason why I want to be a board member is because I would like to use my life experience to influence the decisions, to hopefully gain have the Board of Education and the administrators and the teachers and everybody involved gain different perspectives on how to approach things. When it comes to budgeting, this is one of the areas that I've been talking about for 5 years. I think when you look at the budget, we have accelerated our budget in the last several years. The last two budgets, we've raised our budget $2.3 million from each year before. And right now our budget is at a point, 56.7 million, where we were in 2014 to 2015, where we had to cut $6 million. We closed 2 schools, we cut 70 staff, we increased class sizes, we reduced extracurricular activities to get down to 50 million. And in 4 short years, almost 5 now, we're back up to that budget. And it worries me because we're leveraging the increased revenue that we're getting, but at the time when all those cuts happened, people were literally screaming that they felt Marlboro School District had leaned on the Dynegy power plants, or the power plants before that, Central Hudson, and spent too much money. And people were literally upset and screaming about it. And right now I just have a feeling that we're kind of going that way, not exactly the same, but I worry because I think Governor Cuomo's spending like a drunken sailor right now, free college, throwing money at the schools, and at some point that stops, and where are we, right? Where are we going to be if that revenue stops? I think we just have to spend a little bit more in our processes starting from the beginning of the year, looking at the budget, looking for ways to cut, looking for ideas from the staff, from the other directors and building administrators, and just getting more focus on the budget itself. The levy's been going down, yes. The surplus has been going up, yes, but there's got to be a balance there. I think we really need to scrutinize more, and I'm hopefully that my experience that I described to you will help that. And I know you guys have all heard this before up there, and you may or might not be looking forward to it, but now if I get a seat at the table, we will be talking about it more. So anyway, that's why I want to be a board member. I hope you agree that my experience and my vested interest in the community and my children makes me a good candidate and worthy of your vote. So I thank you for your time. I hope that you do vote for me and give me the opportunity to represent you in the community. And I very much look forward to working with the administrative staff and the current board members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cantone. Next, we'll have Mr. James Kuha.
Okay, if it's okay, I'm just going to do it from here. Can everybody hear me?
The mic on?
Yes. Everybody can hear me now? Okay. Good evening, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is James Kuha. I'm running for re-election to the Marlboro Board of Education. 3 years ago, I ran on a platform of transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility. In my opinion, all 3 have been attained. Prime examples of a few can easily be found in this year's budget discussion at our last meeting 2 weeks ago. Transparency. The community witnessed a lengthy debate between board members and administrators, an honest, respectful discussion concerning the needs of our students and financial constraints of our taxpayers. Fiscal responsibility. 3 years in a row, this board and administration have put forth a budget with a negative levy. Accountability. Our administrators are keenly aware of the performance this community and board expect. Not only do I believe they have risen to the challenge, but I also believe they have pushed their staff to rise to the challenge as well. As a member of this board, I find it difficult to sit before you and advocate for myself, simply because what you see before you is a team of dedicated individuals who truly care about this district and the people in it. I'm part of a cohesive team of people who are not afraid to disagree with each other, who are not afraid to question, and who are not afraid to say no. However, with that in mind, I will mention a few of our accomplishments. A successful community-involved search for a new superintendent of schools. Once again, 3 years in a row, a reduced levy to our taxpayers. A solar project that will be taking place at Middle Hope Elementary School. Settling fair employee contracts that relieve some of the financial pressure for our taxpayers, and bringing back programs to this district that were previously cut. modified sports, and drama at the middle school. Many have asked me what my platform is going forward. The answer is simple: transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility. You may ask why my goals remain unchanged, and that answer is also simple. We must not forget the past. We must keep it fresh in our minds as to not repeat any mistakes, and we must strive to be better. 3 years ago, I stood at a podium and I asked for your vote. Today, I humbly ask once again for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kuha. And lastly, we'll have Mrs. Horton.
My name is Susan Horton, and I am the current Vice President of the Board of Education seeking re-election. If you're a fan of history and have an understanding of leadership, you know that every successful historical figure led with a set of principles that would not be compromised. King Solomon, for example, wrote, "Throughout our lives, we should seek wisdom as if searching for a lost treasure. In seeking wisdom, we press on to fulfill the potential which we have been created for. By doing so, we must not always believe everything we think, because we choose our own perspective. And when we choose a limited perspective, we eliminate the potential of exponential growth. When I first took my seat here on the Board of Education, this district had an embedded cultural mindset, a perspective about how things were done, and the cultural mindset was quickly leading to the demise of exponential growth. We were in a culture that bred complacency, a comfortable yet worn out, exhausted notion that this is how things were done and nothing could be done to change it. Perspective. Don't always believe everything you think. It is a valuable person indeed who manages to see a new way of thinking as opportunity. And thankfully, there was a spirit in the heart of this community that craved new opportunity and created this current board that I have had the opportunity to serve. A board that has had the guts to challenge the validity of all that was declared to be true. From my current position, I believe the last 3 years have proven something better by shining a light into the dusty corner of accepted thinking, where new possibilities have been discovered and have yielded new perspective with different methods that are well on their way to producing great results. This is who I believe this board is, and I have been an integral part that has made up the whole of getting things done in order to achieve all that has been craved. Though we might not always agree, we each come to the table bringing a unique perspective and talent. Having done our homework with various thoughts and ideas, we work at coming to the best decisions that best benefits the educational standard of the district while always striving to balance the cost of such. We have come a long way in a short period of time. We immediately identified the need for new leadership and diligently went to work in search of and successfully hired our current superintendent. A superintendent who, since day one, hit the ground running, establishing himself as a leader and partner that promotes learning and excellence, one that has analyzed all aspects of the district, making positive and proactive changes, a leader that not only works for today, but one that has a vision and a plan for tomorrow. And as a board, we not only observe this by seeing Mr. Brooks in action, we document it as we have implemented an objective evaluation tool that holds him accountable, an evaluation that ties performance to salary increase, and that is something that has never been done before. As a board, we immediately understood the importance of policy governance. We know that without this foundational frame, all other actions are compromised. This is why we initiated a district-wide thorough policy review, which will be completed ahead of our projected schedule. As a board, for the first time in decades, we initiated a transportation bid that resulted in a contract that has provided newer buses that meet industry safety standards, contain more up-to-date equipment, display our name on the buses with pride, and provide annual cost savings. We have, in good faith, successfully negotiated all 5 unit contracts. And contrary to the old propaganda of cut and gut, we have done quite the opposite. We have expanded programs like modified sports, middle school clubs, daily programs, and hope to soon reintroduce the planetarium and swimming pool facility back into our program so all students can benefit from these wonderful resources that our district possesses. We have entered into a shared services that drive cost savings with entities such as the Town of Marlborough and Orange Ulster BOCES, as well as our neighboring schools. We have overseen the institution of long-term financial planning that helps guide the district's future decisions. And the rating for the district's financial health has gone from poor to excellent because we have been able to move from an uncertain financial picture to having sufficient reserves and fund balance to overcome our loss in tax revenue from the Dynegy bankruptcy. And with all that was against us, we have achieved a negative tax levy for the last 3 years, and that decreased levy is the most accurate figure to scrutinize when comparing the overall budget's effect on your tax bill. All of this and so much more while continuing to challenge the administration to think outside of the box on things like creating new positions and program planning, such as recognizing the developmental benefit of free play and increasing such time during lunch recess. So much has been accomplished, but there is more work to be done. I feel that we are in the midst of blossoming into something really good. And this fruit of our labor will keep this district on the map by attracting more people to our community that will then contribute to the tax levy. To conclude, I must say, there is not one moment in the last 3 years that I have taken this seat for granted. As a whole, I am a member of a well-functioning board, one that has been a part of purposeful collaboration with this administration, one that has sought to promote transparent business operations, and most importantly, a board that has brought a boldness of accountability that has not been common in the past. I pray that I have gained your trust and the trust of this community as I have worked hard to be a valuable member of this board by leading with a set of uncompromised principles. I question what I don't know, what I don't understand, and I always seek wisdom to reach the best decision in order to balance cost and benefit while simultaneously striving for the finest educational standard. It is an honor to serve this Board of Education and this community, as this is my home and always has been my home. I hope to get your support on Tuesday, May 16th. Thank you.
Patrick, if I could, Susan, actually, before we go to the rest of the agenda, I just want to make an announcement that this Saturday we have a special event also. We have our Special Olympics, and we're sending a team of athletes to West Point for the Special Olympics. Please, if everyone would spend a little bit of time doing the no rain dance, because it could potentially be a little rainy on Saturday, but we would like it to not be rainy on Saturday. But certainly, you're more than welcome to come out and join us and watch our athletes compete at West Point on Saturday. So.
Okay, getting back to the agenda. Board of Education reorganization meeting date change for the 2017-2018 calendar. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, adopt the following date change for the Board of Education reorganization meeting from July 6th, 2017 for the 2017-18 school year to July 13th, 2017. Can I get a motion to adopt the change date for the reorganizational meeting? Joanne, Jeffrey, second.
We did already adopt the calendar that shows this, but the rule is explicit that we have to have specific board action to change the date for the reorg meeting if it's not the first Tuesday or Wednesday of July. So this just enhances the action that we already took.
Any other discussion? Russell?
Yes.
Jeffrey?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne? Yes. And myself, yes. Personnel recommendations. Resolve that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approve the following personnel recommendations as documented. Can I get a motion for approval of personnel recommendations? Joanne? Jeffrey? Any discussion?
Two retirees, which I'd like to thank. Laura, I will definitely miss her smiling face when you walk in the elementary and when she used to be at the high school. She's wonderful, and I wish her well. I wish both of them very much, and I noticed they have a star, so they'll be getting a gold car. Correct. And I'm going to let you take the rest of it.
Along with our tenure appointments, yes, we do have the two retirees, and they are eligible for the gold card. Russell?
Yes.
Jeffrey?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Yes. Congratulations.
I want to make a point. The reason why Susan just said congratulations is because the process of tenure, while it's a simple board action here, behind the scenes and the work that happens to lead up to tonight is first of all, the pace is incredible, the pressure is incredible. I know that I put a lot of pressure on our staff. I put a lot of pressure on these folks over here to get this right. I put a lot of pressure on principals to get this right, and I know that they put pressure on you. So the 5 of you that got tenure tonight, I want to personally congratulate you and talk about you a little bit. I've got some information that just can highlight the quality of the people and what it takes to get here. And yes, Chelsea, may the 4th be with you. Yes, she's a Star Wars fan. So Susan Weiss just received tenure tonight. She's a teaching assistant at Marlboro Middle School. She has a teaching assistant certification, but she's not just a teaching assistant. She is the lifeblood of the library. Yes, we have a strong librarian, but my gosh, our library and our computer system wouldn't be what it is at the middle school without Susan Weiss. I know that Mike relies on her, Robin relies on her, certainly Maureen relies on her, and I know that Deb, your principal, talks about you in that way all the time. Our children benefit with our system because of what you do. You've always got a can-do attitude, you've got a smile on your face, and there's a lot of stuff coming at you every single day, so, but you handle it, and we appreciate that. So I want to personally say congratulations to you tonight for tenure, and you're a great staff member, and I wish you the best in a long career with us. Chelsea Wolford also received tenure tonight. She's at the Marlboro Middle School. She has certification in English Language Arts for grades 7 through 12. She currently teaches English in the middle school. Her principal is Miss Deborah Clinton. All that work with Chelsea speak very, very highly of her. I know she and I have a really nice rapport. I've been in Chelsea's classroom an awful lot, and it just seems that when I'm in Chelsea's room or near there, something draws me in that is not typical. Am I right on that, Chelsea? It's just, no, because you know what? It's the quintessential middle school classroom. She's got such a great way about her with the way she works with her children, and it's a place that's The middle school is a place that's near and dear to my heart. I was a middle school teacher myself, and I just really love the way that you keep kids interested in English in a non-traditional way, but you hold such a high standard, Chelsea, and that is why our children benefit from being in your classroom. So I've enjoyed being in your room. I've learned something every single time I've been in there. So thank you for what you do with our children. By the way, where did you do your undergrad and grad work?
I did it at 3 different colleges. I did Ulster Community College, SUNY New Paltz, and Barrington University. And I completed my graduate in reading in Barrington.
Terrific. Thank you for being such a wonderful staff member. Congratulations to the child. We have Connie Kane that also received tenure tonight, and she's at the Marlboro Middle School as well. She's in our special education department, but Connie also has certifications in social studies for grades 5 through 6, social studies for grades 7 through 12, and students with disabilities in social studies in grades 7 through 12. She has taught and is currently teaching ELA, math, social studies, both in a direct consult teaching and also a special class model. I have been in Connie's classroom a number of times, and each time I've been equally impressed. You are the example of a bar being set and you jumping over that bar, Connie. I really, truly appreciate your approach in the classroom, your calmness, your kindness, your sweet approach with children, and the high standard that you set for those children. So you know we've had a lot of great dialogue over this. I've thoroughly enjoyed those dialogues and the time in your classroom. So Connie, I also congratulate you and wish you a long career here in Marlboro Schools. Now up to the high school, we have Dr. Jason Orson. Dr. Jason Orson is a certified in music, K-12, and he is currently an instrumentalist teaching music in our high school. Last night was one of his concerts. It was fantastic. Thank you very much. All that work with Dr. Orson know that he is the example of the high standard. And as a matter of fact, you don't know this, but I actually use you as an example of how to set a high standard. You probably don't remember it, but we had a conversation last year about how you get your kids to work at such a high level and how you get so many kids to do so well when they go to get adjudicated through the different music organizations. And you said because you set the goal as the top level. And if that's the goal, everybody's working towards that. Everybody's pulling the rope and pulling the chain in that same direction. That's how you get more and more kids to that level. And you're 100% right. And our band and our instrumentalists that work in your band and the cooperation within your department, not just at the high school, but at the other schools, has built such a wonderful program. It's the pride of the district. The sounds speak for themselves, Dr. Orson. So thank you very much. I appreciate what you've done for our children, and I've grown because of what you've talked to me about. So thank you very much. I wish you a long and illustrious career here in Marlboro. And again, at Marlboro High School, we have Carrie Schlegler. Carrie, I've got an affinity for Carrie, too, because we were both science teachers. So, Carrie is certified in biology 5 through 9, biology 7 through 12, and general science 7 through 9. She is currently teaching living environment biology at the high school and some earth science classes as well. Again, all that work with you know you're a great colleague. Your knowledge of science is stellar. Your background and your approach with children is really remarkable. I've been in your classroom a number of times. I know we've had some great dialogue over just how to teach adolescents. And again, similar to some of the other conversations, I've actually grown from those conversations as well. But one of the things I've also been impressed, Carrie, is when we've had those dialogues, I've seen you start to retool in your mind almost immediately how you're going to approach even the next period. So that's a scientist. Right? You look at it from a solutions-oriented perspective. You take a look at the data that's in front of you and you retool to get a better result with your next experiment or your next class. And that's a quality that is very admirable. So please keep that. That will make you a very successful person as you continue going along. So thank you for being a colleague of mine, and thank you for doing what you do with our children. I wish you the best in a long and illustrious career here in Marlboro. And we will have a time for a picture if we just get through a couple more items. We have cake and coffee for all of you for tonight, so please just let us get through a couple of more quick items, and we'll close out the meeting so we can get on to a little bit of celebration.
Okay, on to contracts. Resolve that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approve and authorizes the Board President to sign the following agreements as documented. Can I get a motion to approve and authorize the following agreements? Russell, Joanne. Discussion? Russell?
Yes.
Jeffrey?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne? Yes. Myself, yes. Taxes. Resolve that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves the application from Orange County Office of Real Property Tax Service for corrected tax rolls for 2015-16 and 2016-17 school years of a town of Newburgh property owned by Robert Chivatoni, located at, sorry, Mr. Chivatoni, located at 14 Diamond Court, Newburgh, New York 12550, lot 6-1-106.12 due to a clerical error, and to issue a refund in the amount of $1,195.91. Can I get a motion to approve the application? Russell and James. Discussion? Russell?
Yes.
Jeffrey?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne? Yes. And myself, yes. Do we have any old business?
I have one thing, Pat. Thank you for loading those two, the extracurricular reports. But the middle school one has got a weird notation on it. It says general ledger adjustment. I know it's only $1,200 and change, but it looks like we started with money and then it just disappeared. But it doesn't say like where it went.
I'll get that for you for the next board meeting.
Okay.
Have we had our playground committee meet more than they met in October?
Yeah, the last meeting was in the fall. Yeah.
Is there a plan to meet again? Did you have?
Oh, we certainly can. The recommendation that came from it primarily was to expand our time in the lunch recess area, and we had a considerable amount of discussion about whether we can do that in an active master schedule now, which will prove to be substantially difficult. It will be implemented. There will be an expanded lunch recess time in the September master schedule. I know that Ms. Hecht and the elementary staff is preparing for that as master schedule gets developed.
Okay.
So that really was the bottom line outcome. However, there's kind of an offshoot of that too. Maybe Pat can speak to it very quickly. We're going to be looking at our lunch program for the food service side of it. So that's kind of another avenue that is launched from that as well, I guess. So I think you're going to kick things off in May, June, correct?
Correct. We're going to be announcing soon kind of an advisory council made up of district residents, students, staff, just regarding the lunch program in general, just to help kind of educate the community on what the requirements are and why why broccoli is always on the menu, because it's required to be on the menu, but also to get feedback from all interested stakeholders into the process and see what we could do to try and improve the experience for the students through the food service program. So we'll be announcing very soon the formation of that advisory committee.
Patrick, didn't I just heard on the news that they're changing the Mrs. Obama lunch guidelines? Has that come out yet? Has it
I've
changed?
heard that on the news also. We haven't heard anything changing in the regulations yet, but we obviously will be interested in that, because part of the reason why we have difficulty with the profitability of the program is because of the restrictions on what has to be served on a regular basis. Now, some of those are good, but some of those are questionable, I
And
would
that's
say
why we
from
serve broccoli so much.
correct.
They like broccoli.
I like broccoli too.
I use it on the-
Thank you.
that spinach.
Any new business?
I do have a couple things. One is Orange Ulster School Board's dinner, which is their budget also, excuse me, is June 7th. I would like to attend. It is $45. So I guess I need permission from the board to,
I'll make a motion that Joanne represents us at the dinner.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
that was one. The other question I have is, some of the, sitting with Orange Ulster BOCES, some of the other school districts have buses that have propane. And they say it's cheaper to run. Do we have buses with propane? Do we do buses with propane?
We do have one bus with propane right now. It's, if you look at the buses, when they drive around, most of them have black lettering on the bus. There's one bus that has green lettering. That bus is a propane bus. It was secured through a grant where Mr. Martucci from Quality Bus had to purchase the bus, and then the grant paid for the conversion to a propane. So we do run one bus. He does, it's interesting because the conversion to propane costs almost as much as the bus itself. So absent the grant, the financial piece isn't quite there yet in terms of being able to produce them on a scale that will make them economical to be used. But it is something that Marlboro is involved with.
Because I know some of the other school districts have them, and they are doing grants. And this is the time that they're starting to get more and more propane buses. So I was wondering if we were going to get any more. If we're getting any new buses, or do we have any old buses? I mean, this is something that we can ask, you can give me answers later on.
Yeah, we have very rigorous requirements within the scope of the bid that was put out.
Correct.
So that becomes our contract document. So he is forced to comply with that. So it's,
Well, that's why I'm asking these questions. How many bus accidents have we had this year? Have we had a lot, not a lot? What's involved? So
Mr.
those are the-
Martucci is in the process right now of preparing a report for us, and once that report is put together, plus a remediation report for how he deals with any accidents after an accident will be part of that. So we should have that in relatively short order.
Good. Okay, those are my questions for tonight. Thank you.
Any other items?
I have one other item just for the board members. NYSBA, New York State School Board Association, is hosting member receptions. It's they appreciate the dedication and passion the school board members demonstrate for the public schools, and they want to say thank you. So the week of June 26th through 29th, they will be putting on these member receptions throughout the state. There will be one in Poughkeepsie. I will email the board with the details.
Thank you.
Actually, I do have one. It's for the new school board members and what the requirements are and the meetings. We have to find it.
Once you get it, we'll hand it out. We'll scan it and send it out to everybody.
Okay.
Just give
Thank
it to
you.
Teresa and we'll get that out.
Any other items? This time we'd like to recognize the district residents or any others. Okay. Well, this concludes our workshop meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Joanne and James. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's get to celebrating.
Congratulations.